I want to start this video by explaining what exactly the grand sonnery chime is, for those of you who don't know. It's going to have two chimes. The first chime will be for the minutes, and then the second chime will be for the hours. So right now it's almost 12 o'clock, and if I advance the hands forward, it will chime 4 times for 4 quarters, then it'll chime 12 times for 12 hours. So 15, 30, 45, 60, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now the next time it will be 12, 15. So we hear the first chime only once, and then we hear the second chime 12 times. And now we will hear for 12:30, we should hear the first chime 2 times, and a second chime again 12 times. And as you can imagine, once it gets to around 1 o'clock, you would hear the first chime 4 times and a second chime only once. And the chime cycle just repeats for every 15 minutes. So right now it's kind of hard to tell exactly what time it is with the face off, but it's almost 11 o'clock. And so basically the way the chiming works is it has 2 cylindrical cams. You can see there's one right there, and there's also another one here kind of hidden behind this giant gear here. And this seesaw right here kind of rocks when it's pushed up and down by that cam. And this seesaw down here rocks back and forth when it's pushed up and down by that smaller cam right there. One of these cams is attached to the hour hand, and the other is attached to the minute hand. And so these seesaws push these levers around on the side. And basically, they move these, they slide these parts back and forth. These two. And so this bottom one here would be for the minutes. So that smaller cam in the front is for the minutes, while the larger cam on top, that's for the hours. And how I can tell is because this like oddly shaped, you can see there's this really odd gear in the middle that has these pins just sticking out of the front of it. Okay, so there's this kind of bizarre looking gear in the middle because it has all these pins sticking out both the front and the back. And basically what these sliding rods here do is they have little kind of arms sticking out that interact with those rods on that big gear when it rotates around. And depending on which position they are in, the arms on these rods will only be lifted by a certain number of those pins. And so there are 4 pins on the back of that giant gear, and there are 12 pins in the front. And so that's how you know the back pins are for the minutes and the front pins are for the hours. Because the minutes only count in quarters for 15, 30, 45, 60. And then the 12 in the front are the 12 hours. So when this clock strikes you'll see those being lifted, and they activate the hammers in the back. And for those of you who haven't learned the basics of clocks yet, that big fan thing up there is just a fly fan or the governor. It just regulates the speed. So with that weight down there, it doesn't just make this whole thing spin way too fast and out of control. And now all the other mechanics over here are literally just for activating the chime. So right here we have this gear that has these kind of pins going around it too. And as I move the minute hand forward, pins are going to lift this thing, and then it's going to fall back down. And before I make this fall down, you'll notice that this thing gets lifted. It'll fall down, and it will push this kind of seesaw thing up, kind of activate this lever. And that lever will activate the chiming mechanism. See the whole thing in action. There we go. And then on the time side, it's just a very simple mechanism, basic deadbeat escapement. Only 3 wheels because it's just a 30-hour clock. What's kind of bizarre is the way the time sign is tensioned. It doesn't use a spring. It literally just uses a brass washer with this pin for the pressure. So the hands are sort of hard to turn. They have a lot of resistance. But I guess just how it's meant to be. And I believe this cam having the star teeth around it, I think that's just to keep it locked into the 12 different places, because that's again, I believe that's the one for the hours. And because of the way this kind of works like a rack and snail striking. So if you activate it again, well, let me push this. If you activate it again, it won't lose track of time. It'll still know. Right now it's like 11:15. I did that first strike for 15 minutes, and then now it's going to chime 11 times for the hours. So yeah, that's how the mechanism of a Surr works.